so we have the club membership as the foundation, and then anyone can come to conference. As you know, you've been to conference. And that is a once a year. It's kind of like the Olympics of real estate. So you can pick and choose which events you want to go to, what sessions you want to go into. For example, this last conference, we had 5 general sessions, which everybody comes to. And then there were 24 different breakout sessions over the course of 2 days that people could choose from. So depending on what your specific need or challenges in your business, you can find a breakout session that's going to address that. We had a breakout session that was just on a YouTube channel, for example.
Hi, thank you for joining me today on the Mortgages Made Easy podcast. I am so delighted to have Amy Stoehr as our guest today. Amy is the owner and CEO of Star Power. Star Power is a group of amazing realtors from all over the country. And they get together at conferences, sometimes virtually also, I believe, and share their wisdom. And what I love about Star Power is that there's virtually nothing held back. So you can go over to anyone at Star Power and ask them what the secret sauce is for their business, and they're going to tell you. And some of the participants do that from the stage, and sometimes it's just over a drink at the bar. Amy, tell us a little bit more.
Well, you just really articulated well the entire vision of Star Power. You know, it was started back in the 80s by a man named Howard Brinton, and he had a vision to capture best practices from best agents and disseminate that information to the marketplace to help people get better.
I remember Howard.
That vision grew into quite a legacy, and I went to work for the company in 1996. I had been in real estate myself, working with one of the stars, Kathy Russell, and so I credit her for me being where I am today. She took me to the first Star Power conference I experienced in '93, and I fell in love with the people and the mission, and long story, ended up going to work for the company in '96. I was there until the beginning of 2008. We all remember 2008. Mortgage and real estate did not have a happy year in 2008 or the years surrounding it. And I was laid off, and then there was a mass layoff of several people, and the company eventually closed in 2009. Fast forward to 2021, one of our stars that we had interviewed over the years, Jana Caudill, reached out to me and said she was thinking of buying the rights and bringing Star Power back. And I said, I'm in. I don't even know what that looks like, but it's my family. It's my, I helped build that legacy. Very grateful that I had that opportunity. And so we relaunched in 2021. And then last year I bought it from her. So here we are.
Very exciting.
Still best practices from best agents in a brand neutral environment. We welcome people from all franchises and independents. And as you touched on, it's an open sharing environment. People are willing to lay out exactly what they do to be successful. And it's really a unique and special thing. And then, you know, I think what most people don't realize could be available to them in an educational environment is that Star Power is truly a family. People genuinely care about your success. And, you know, the more successful you get in your own market, the fewer friends you have, right? So it's such an incredible environment where people come to celebrate each other's victories and authentically listen to and troubleshoot their challenges and help them keep moving forward. So can you tell I'm proud? I love my family.
it is a family. I went, probably in the early 2000s. It's years and years ago. And I made some friends there that I'm still in touch with today. And it's funny because I was the mortgage guy in the real estate conference, and I still am often the mortgage guy in the real estate conference. But I find that some of the ideas that both on a business side, how you deal with clients, how you attract clients, some of that we share in common, but also the heart that people display was always such a delight. And then of course with Rev, for those who did that route, Patrick picked that up, and he built a community there. And now that he's phasing out the Rev community, I'm so delighted that you guys are picking it back up. It just such a needed resource. Who's the right person to come to a Star Power conference?
Success-minded, growth-oriented, heart-centered servant leaders and their teams.
Wow.
I want to clarify that success and growth does not necessarily mean I want to amp my production up or I want to build a huge team. Success and growth are words that are meaningful to different people in different ways. So growth for one person might be, I want to triple or double my production, but for another person, growth might be, I'm already where I'm at numerically, but I have no life, or I don't feel like I'm a good leader. And those are equally as important growth opportunities as anything production driven.
Got it. And what's the format of Star Power today? So you have an annual conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's probably one coming up in 11 months somewhere.
Nashville, 10 months now. I can't believe
10 months. Wow.
So the foundation of Star Power is the Star Power Club. So members of the club are getting fresh interviews every month from people who are successful right now in the business. And then members also have access to all of the history of clubs. So every interview we've already done, they can go back and listen to. That is just the start of the membership. And, we do monthly live speakeasies where one of our stars will host and share on a topic of their choosing. And everybody's got the opportunity to get in there and actually communicate with that person, ask questions, talk to each other. Our members also get a newsletter every month as a part of their membership. That core is what feeds everything else in Star Power. So these new stars that we interview, and we've also been revisiting some of the original stars who are still killing it in real estate and in life. And so that's also coming out every month. We won't do that forever. We thought it would be beneficial to people who didn't know Star Power, the first iteration, to meet some of these people that are going to be at conference and going to be at universities and really know what their superpowers are, where their specialties lie. So then we,
let me just catch you there, because you said they're going to be at conference and they're going to be at universities. I'm not familiar with that distinction, so maybe bring me up to speed.
So that's the so we have the club membership as the foundation, and then anyone can come to conference. As you know, you've been to conference, and that is a once a year. It's kind of like the Olympics of real estate. So you can pick and choose which events you want to go to, what sessions you want to go into. For example, this last conference, we had 5 general sessions, which everybody comes to. And then there were 24 different breakout sessions over the course of 2 days that people could choose from. So depending on what your specific need or challenges in your business, you can find a breakout session that's going to address that. We had a breakout session that was just on a YouTube channel, for example. So then we have specialized programs called universities. The Buyer Mastery is coming up next month in Indianapolis. And that is 2 days focused just on one aspect of the business. So buyer mastery just focuses on working with buyers. We had a listing mastery in March. The next one is coming up in January, and that just focuses on the listing side of the business. And as we grow and continue, we'll be adding other university programs, leadership university, a university that's just for team members. And so that's another offering. We have a coaching division. We have several coaches, including myself. So for people who are wanting true one-on-one focus and attention and interaction, who want to do a deeper dive on things, then they can hire a coach. We've launched several mastermind groups. So those are small groups. That's all virtual. It's a 6-month cohort. So we have people and, 8 people in a group who are focusing on each other's businesses, truly from the mastermind defined by Napoleon Hill back in Think and Grow Rich way back in the day. People bring their challenges and they group problem solve. And then we've set up structures for them to be in touch outside of the monthly sessions. So we just we want to launch a lot of things, but as much as we are a legacy business, we're a startup company too. So there's only so much you can do at one time and do it well. I'd rather do fewer things well than a whole bunch of things mediocre.
Amy, what is your superpower?
I believe my superpower exists in connection, exists in collaboration, exists in community, and everything that blossoms out of those things. Those are God-given gifts that I was fortunate enough to get aware of early on in my life. And so that's where my energy flows.
Yeah. I have the sense, because in so many of the things that I do, I interact with some of the stars. And I truly believe that where you come from is a place of sharing, and a place where you care more for the other person than for yourself. And that just resonates throughout the community. And you probably inherited that from Howard. But yeah,
I'm gonna give props to my parents on that one. And certainly the universe sent the magnetism for me to star power. I was raised in a household with two parents who worked full-time, and my father was also a volunteer firefighter his entire adult life, and for the last 15 years of his life was the chief of a 2-station volunteer fire department. Understand that was like a second full-time job and something that the whole family participated in. So that selflessness, that servant-heartedness, I definitely witnessed from my parents firsthand. It's a really cool way to live. It's a very happy, fulfilling way to live.
Yeah, I get it. And then if work wasn't enough, tell us a little bit about what you do for recreation. Like, where did you just come back from?
I call it recreation. Other people call it punishment. I love to hike. For me, it's spiritual connection, it's physical well-being, it's mental health. And so thanks to my best friend, Donna, I have done some pretty amazing hikes. I went from being a pretty sedentary person to being super active over the last 14 years of my life. And so when she wandered into the gym one day and said, I want to climb Kilimanjaro before I turn 55, will you go with me? I jumped at the chance without really knowing what I was getting myself into. So that was 2019. 2021, we climbed Rainbow Mountain in Peru, and then we hiked the Salcantay Trail back to Machu Picchu. So every other year we're trying to do an international trip. And I just returned from hiking the Tour de Mont Blanc. We were foiled on the last day by weather, but we did do everything but the last day. So that's typically a 100-mile excursion. I think we ended up completing about 80 of the 100.
Hmm. Hmm. And up
Yeah.
and down hills, little teeny hills.
Yeah. Some pretty tall mountains. And a lot of amazing things happen when you challenge yourself that way. There's a lot of introspection, but there's also a lot of awareness that for all of the challenges we deal with here, we live in an amazing country, and
Hmm.
we're so fortunate to have all of the things that we do. I mean, that really struck home for me first in Africa and Tanzania, and we saw it again in Peru.
Hmm.
The Alps are a little bit more insulated. The things like indoor plumbing that we take for granted, and having access to food every day, and just all of the things. If people haven't traveled internationally who are listening to this, you've got to plan at least one trip to get out of the bubble and see what life is like for other
Hmm.
people.
And then I think a sign of your heart is that you've not only seen and witnessed, but it touched you personally. And you started telling me about your charity. So tell us a little bit.
So when we climbed the mountain in 2019, Kilimanjaro, I'm referencing, the people that work on that mountain are some of the most selfless, kind, happy, servant-hearted people I've ever met in my lifetime. They give so unconditionally, down to the smallest detail. One of the gals that I was climbing with, you're very fatigued after a day of doing that, and she couldn't get her gaiters off, which is the thing that wraps over your shoe to keep the dust and the rain out. And one of the guys saw her struggling and just ran up and took them off for her. And the next morning, before she could even think to put them on, he appeared out of nowhere and was putting them on for her. And she did not put on or take off those gaiters a single time the rest of the climb. And I used that small story just to give a glance at a bigger picture of the selflessness of people. And so I started asking questions. It felt like we can't just do this trip and give them a tip and say thank you and have a nice day. God put it on my heart that I had to do more. And so I started asking questions, and they want to send their kids to private school to get a better education, to learn English, to be taught in English, and to have a path out of poverty. And so I decided I was going to help one kid. And my husband was in agreement, so we did that. And then I told the story to a friend about a month later, and she literally came to me the next day. She'd written a check for the amount and said, send the other daughter of that person that you're helping. And I said, okay, now I get it. I get it, God. This is why you brought me to Africa. I'm supposed to do something for these kiddos. And so not quite 3.5 years later, we have 64 kids sponsored. This community, the Star Power community, has been super generous and supportive of that. A large number of the sponsors have come out of that community. And these are people who are committed to stay with the kiddos till they finish school. It's not a one and done thing. They made a full commitment to stay with the kids. So, yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that was on my radar.
And circling back, that really is an indication of what Star Power is all about, because it is about building your business. It is about growing your business and learning from other people and learning and sharing. But it's also about people with great heart.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's something that touches you, if you want to grow your business, but you also want to grow your soul, boy, Star Power is just such a powerful place to do both of those. And boy, this is so great. So I've been a realtor now for, well, maybe 3 minutes. And how do I find my way into Star Power? How do I approach Star Power?
The first and easiest thing to do is just to join the Facebook group. It's free.
Mhm,
There are not quite 3,000 in that community.
mhm.
And you don't have to be invited. You can just go search Star Power, and Dave, you can put it in the
Yeah.
YouTube comments if you want to. Join the group and get in there. And it's first of all, incredible place for referrals. I don't think we've had a single referral go unanswered. I think we've been able
Mm.
to find an agent for pretty much everything. Even the outlier places, we typically know someone in a metro area not too far from there who can recommend somebody. So that's great. And then just the sharing that happens there in terms of, I am stuck on this. Does anybody have ideas for fill in the blank? And 10 people chime in and say, oh yeah, I do that. Let me tell you what I do. So that's going on for no charge, and everybody can take advantage of that. From there, I think there's kind of a natural path of progression, one of two ways that I see, and it's always been the case. Either people decide, you know what, I'm going to go to their annual conference and really get a feel for what they're about, or you know what, I'm going to go ahead and sign up for the club and start listening to the interviews. And then when conference rolls around, maybe I decide I want to do that. So those are both easy things to do. The website's real simple. It's just starpower.com, nothing fancy. And the conference is always on there. The club membership is always on there. And whatever universities that we have running, you can find those on there. You can schedule free time with a coach on there. So the website itself offers a lot of great options.
Cool. Cool. And as a coach, what are the issues you're hearing realtors? What are the questions that realtors are bringing to you today? What are their top challenges?
So let me break that into two categories. There are the timely things that are happening. So
Mhm.
I'm in a market with a shortage of inventory, and so I'm struggling to get listings. I'm in a market where it's a competitive offer situation, and believe it or not, in some markets, Dave, even with the interest rates up, we're still dealing with such an inventory shortage that when something comes on, it's multiple offers, it's over asking price, it's people waiving inspections. Those types of things are still going on. So we get
That
some.
you've described my market. That's exactly, and I work in 4 states. So I work in
Oh, I didn't know that.
New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Florida. And
Ah,
in virtually every market that I'm in, I mean, there are parts of Florida that have slowed down now. There are parts that are at different places, but you've described my market, multiple offers. In fact, one of the things that I bring to the table, and I'll share with your realtors, is you want to partner with a mortgage professional who has your back. And so when my client makes an offer, I will offer to call the seller's realtor and give them a what for. Why is Amy's offer better than any other offer you're going to get?
that's powerful. Everybody should have a lender in their corner who's willing to do that. And it is making a difference. How many of us have dealt with took the offer, and then the buyer wasn't able to follow through, and now the seller's lost valuable time on the market, blah blah blah. I could go on and on about that. So people come to coaching for that, timely issues. I'm stuck here, I need this. What people more often come to coaching for is the timeless issues. So around business planning, around leadership, around marketing, around general leverage, outsourcing projects, about balance, being totally out of alignment. And a lot of people, quite frankly, they come to coaching for one specific thing. They stay in coaching because it opens the door up to a bigger question, which is, why are you doing all this? What are you working for? And a lot of people, you and I both know this, and we know these people, they're just getting up and getting in the hamster wheel every day. And, goal setting looks like, well, I just like to do better this year than I did last year. And what are you working toward? And, it's moving from survival to stability to success to significance. And when people, and I'll credit Steve Cantor, my mentor, for articulating it that clearly. When people start getting clear on their bigger whys, all the hows get easier. Answering the questions, dealing with the conflicts. If someone isn't really clear on that core information, everything else continues to be a challenge. Once you get clear, it suddenly becomes easier because it can all be reflected back to, this is what I want for my life. That choice is not going to support getting me there. So
my friend Steve Krause says, when your values are clear, your decisions are easy.
I agree with that.
And I had that yesterday. We had something that was not properly disclosed, and we had to go back to the client. And I went back to my fundamental values. And then it was an easy conversation. I said, we made a mistake. Here are your options. And one of your options is to hold my feet to the fire, and that's fine. And we'll be fine with that. And I'll still love you. But it was because I was able to say, get centered, blow off some steam for a minute, and then approach it. But yes, if you be in touch with your values, if you can come from a place where you're value centered as opposed to need centered,
Yes.
it's just much more powerful.
And let me just offer something. A lot of people, when you talk about, if you just ask somebody, what are your core values? A lot of people can't articulate that. And it's a daunting task if you've never been put through the exercise before. I have a great little worksheet. If anybody listening wants to, do their own little core values exercise, I'm happy to share it. Just send me an email or drop me a call, and and I can just give it to you, Dave, if you want to have it somewhere.
So how about we attach it below as a link? Cool.
Happy to. I know my core values, and I even have a little graphic on my wall, which you can't see from here, but it's faith, health, relationships, making a difference, fun, and freedom. And I know when I'm in a challenging situation, like you said, if I can get centered on those things and ask myself, which direction is going to support those core values, it gets easy.
This has been marvelous. Thank you so much. We'll put some links below to, first of all, your resource sheet and to the club. And this has been so much fun. I've been so honored that you joined us here. And for my realtor friends, I just am in awe of Star Power and what Amy's done over the past year. And so many members of my community of realtor friends speak so highly of you that I just wish you the world of success.
Thank you, Dave. You are a very special human.
Wow.
You ooze kindness and joy, and you bring a positive energy to anybody you interact with. I've watched you at conferences, and you truly, genuinely, you align with my core values. You genuinely are looking to make a difference and help people, and love that about you.
Thank you. This has been fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Okay.
Okay.